My grandma, who is Marlene Phillips, was born in Saskatchewan, Canada. It is a little province in Canada. She was born in 1932 on December 25th, 1932. She was a Christmas baby. She was born on exactly Christmas, obviously, and she was born on a farm, like literally, like she didn't go to hospital. She grew up there having like a great time, you know. She grew up milking cows and goats. She grew up around all these animals, so she was great with animals. And back then there wasn't electricity or anything. There was nothing really. You just had to live how it was. And she lived in Canada, so it was always snowy. She told me there were stories of how since summer it was so hot, they had school during the summer, but since winter gets so cold, they wouldn't have school in the winter. And that they would have some weeks off here and there. It wasn't like how school is, and she loved it. She said it would get so snowy that like they could walk over trees. Like there'd be that much snow, like 30 feet of snow, that she could walk over trees. She grew up in the Great Depression. She told me that growing up in the Great Depression wasn't any different just because they didn't focus on it. But the thing is that they didn't have any downtime. She said they just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. She told me that they rode horses to school. It was all normal, and that they actually had like a barn on her school property that she would have to take her horse to, and during her lunch she would have to go out and feed it, and like not only feed herself but feed the horse. And I was like, well, you never have to eat alone. She's like, yeah, you never ate alone then. There's always something to do. Everything's lenient. She moved on. She graduated school, as one is going to do. She lived with some friends over the years. One of them was like named Joyce. The other one was named Vern. She was a free spirit living her life. It was like the 1940s, about almost 50s, living her life as one should do. Having the best life. She didn't say she went to college. She said that she had a few jobs, and then she got a job at the Saskatchewan telephone things. She didn't really explain. She just said like it was like your caller, basically. Like I guess nowadays you would call it like telemarketer. So I guess she was a telemarketer. And she soon after that she met my grandpa. My grandpa was born in America, but he moved over to Saskatchewan because his dad was a coal miner and he had a job with the coal miner. She didn't give me like how they met, but I guess they just met through friends or like out and about. They met, and then they fell in love. They got married, and he was in the military. He fought in the Korean War, so they traveled a lot. Because after they got married, they stayed in Canada for a little bit, had kids. They had my Uncle Tom, who I didn't get a picture of, I'm sorry. And then they had my dad in 1960. Over the next few years after having my father, those were only kids that they had, and they moved around a lot. My grandma said that they lived in Pennsylvania, North Dakota, Wisconsin. She has trouble remembering. She does have dementia, so I got all the information I could. But she said that they had a great time living everywhere. They moved a lot because of the fact that my grandpa was in the military. But it didn't bother them. They always made new friends. They always went back to Saskatchewan to visit family when everyone was still alive. And she had a great time growing up. She loved it. She loved the way she grew up. I don't think she would change it for the world. She loves all the knowledge she gained and everything. And she always talks about how she's thankful for the memories she does have left, and I love that. And after settling down, they finally chose Georgia. They lived in this one house for 20 years. My Uncle Tom lived here. He was also in the military. He moved around a lot. He lived in Germany, Europe, everywhere. My dad, he unfortunately couldn't go in because my dad is partially deaf. He's deaf fully in one ear, and the other ear is like partially deaf. So he tried. He couldn't. He wasn't able. But yeah, growing up in a military family for them, my grandma loved it. She was so in love with my grandpa before he passed in 2008, and she still loves him. Like, if you get her talking, it is so cute. And After living their life, my dad met my mom in 1996, had my brother in 1997, had me in 2001 on April 22nd, just saying. And that's the story. Without them, there wouldn't be us, and I am so thankful for everything that has happened and how great my grandma is. And even though she has dementia, she can't remember anything, she still remembers these stories and was able to tell me a little bit. And yeah.